Gaming, a form of entertainment that many people partake in. My reasons for playing has been making friends and experiencing stories I couldn't find anywhere else. Gaming has remained a constant in my life since an early age, with handheld consoles like the Game Boy, Micro, and the original Xbox being my first gaming console. The main reason for this video is to highlight and showcase the games I've played since a young age. There are hundreds of games to choose from, but there are only a few that I will highlight. There have been several platforms I've played on: the Wii, the 360, the PS3, and their follow-ups. I also played games on multiple generations of handhelds, including the Nintendo DS and the Nintendo 3DS. Along with all these consoles, I used the computer as well. One of the first games I watched was Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the original Xbox. My dad would play it all the time, firing his blaster into a forest full of enemies. Hearing the classic blaster noises did get grating, like this. Watching firefights on the grounds of Kamino, Naboo, and Dagobah was amazing to view. It was the first multiplayer game I ever watched, seeing how battles could occur in an instant.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
My dad also played Madden 06 on the Xbox, coaching his Colts team, led by star quarterback Peyton Manning. The varying locations of each matchup, including snowy sections, were cool to watch. I think he won the Super Bowl a few times, but I have no clue who he put his team up against. I never really played Madden or the 2K basketball games, but I do invest in the simulations you can run in each game. My dad would purchase ROMs of games for the PC constantly. We'd play LucasArts games like The Curse of Monkey Island and Grim Fandango from time to time. The design in these games were amazing, along with interesting dialogue. One of my favorite characters was Captain LeChuck. If it weren't for these early experiences, I probably wouldn't play story-focused games like Telltale's The Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us. Story games, or just games with stories, have been most of what I have played for a while. I began to be interested in Pokemon games after talking about games with my friends in elementary school. Generation 4 was when I began to play, starting with a Turtwig and Pokemon Diamond. Pokemon changed from 2D to 3D, moved on from Mega Evolutions to Gigantamaxes, and kept the graphics the same when going to console. I played Pokemon for every generation, except for Gen 7's Sun and Moon. No real reason why. I gathered an interest in a little game called Minecraft after watching the Yogscast Classic Let's Play. I watched others play the game on YouTube for around a year, including Skyda's Minecraft and Bayesian Canadian. The creativity in the community at the time made watching more enjoyable. After bothering my parents time and time again, I bought Minecraft and played consistently for a year. As of now, I've changed over to the Xbox One Windows Edition, playing over 200 days overall. In 2012, my dad bought Call of Duty Black Ops 2 for the PlayStation 3. My personal favorite, Black Ops 2, was how I spent most of my nights after school. Playing Team Deathmatch along with Search and Destroy was very fun. Using the Remington and Scar H constantly and feeling a sense of accomplishment made Black Ops 2 great for me. Call of Duty continues to be a constant in my lineup of games, with each game, except for some, being great ways to spend time with friends online. Gaming has been a part of my life for 15 years at this point and doesn't have a sign of slowing down. More games are made each year, making the experiences vary over time. There will be a few more of these videos to talk about my history with sports or whatever else. Thanks for watching. Sports is a main avenue in television that a lot of people take time to watch. But at the end of the day, it didn't really start getting big until Babe Ruth and the New York Yankees took over the MLB. The MLB stands for Major League Baseball. And I never really found an interest in it after the World Series in 2016, but I have heard that there's been some interesting developments, like the Houston Astros cheating fiasco and whatever a Fernando Tatis Jr. is. Sports are an amazing thing for me because I was able to partake in flag football, and I used to be in golf camps, basketball camps, and baseball camps. I am a major fan of basketball and football due to the fact that there's so many people in those sports, and I just kind of want to cover some of those guys first. Football is a sport that most of America has watched, mostly due to the fact of longevity. There's been a lot of fellas that have stayed in this sport for a long time. There used to be an older section of people. By that I mean the 2000s and before. There were Joe Montana and Troy Aikman, John Elway, and a few others. And everybody loved hanging out with those guys all the time. You would find Jerry Rice in that scene. You would find Emmitt Smith in that scene. It was very, very talented. But in the 2000s, it began to be even more talented. Like, for instance, in the 2009 to 2010 season, Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints won over a very strong Indianapolis Colts team led by Peyton Manning. This would be Super Bowl 44. The main reason why I remember this Super Bowl is, well, it had two of the star quarterbacks of the generation. There are generational defining stars, like Terry Bradshaw and the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 1970s, And there's also Warren Moon, Brett Favre, Elway, Troy Aikman, Joe Montana, Steve Young. All those guys really defined the 90s and the 2000s. A few names that come off the top of my head here would be Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Michael Vick, Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, some guy from the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, Carson Palmer, and the ever-growing list of Cleveland Browns starters. Most of these names reached the big championship, which would be the Super Bowl, throughout the 2000s and 2010s. If you're a fan, you'll understand easily why I mentioned those Browns starters. In this entire span of Cleveland football, there was 32 separate quarterbacks. While the rest of the list went to the Super Bowl mostly, the Browns were never close. The New England Patriots, led by Tom Brady, had achieved the trip 9 times in that span. The 2000s and 2010s are very different than the even newer generation. Names that have started to pop up include Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, and Tua Tagovailoa, who lead the charge as the remaining 2000s quarterbacks are slowly going out of the league. Football's reach extends past just the quarterback position, but the longevity of the quarterbacks continue to impress the American audience. I could ramble about the Adrian Petersons and Derrick Henrys, but the only point I have for all of this is football is an enjoyable experience for everybody, and I can't wait to see how football does eventually change in the future. When I was 3, the Cleveland Cavaliers drafted star basketball player LeBron James. James's career in Cleveland ended in 2010, only for him to come back at a later date. But watching him grow into an all-star level player was amazing. Kevin Durant was also a major part of the basketball landscape at the time, reaching the finals against LeBron in 2012. The older, more experienced players before them, like Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, and Shaquille O'Neal, led the charge and won many championships. So, a weird thing about me is that I kind of stopped watching basketball for a while, especially when LeBron went back to Cleveland and they had that big feud with the Warriors, including stars like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. But as of recent, in about 2019, I started actually caring about the sport again, mostly due to a single man named Kawhi Leonard leading the Toronto Raptors to a championship. There's a new layer of basketball players that are pushing a wave of talent otherwise unseen in the NBA as of recent. Big man Joel Embiid leads the Philadelphia 76ers. Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks are pretty good as well. And the Cavs continue to inspire and change with new talent like Jared Allen and Darius Garland. The Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks are my 2 highlight teams as of right now, mostly due to LeBron's newest team, the Los Angeles Lakers, being in the middle of the pack. This section is all about other sports. I honestly don't know jack about any of this, but it is important to talk about at least a little bit. There are 3 major male tennis players that have defined the sport for a while, those being Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, and Rafael Nadal. These 3 guys just keep winning every single championship, man. It's ridiculous. I'll just say it's ridiculous. Federer has taken a break from competition while Nadal and Djokovic continue to play, and they keep ping-ponging major championship wins, and it's probably never going to end, and that's actually kind of crazy. Another major star in tennis is Serena Williams. She has made history in many facets, leaving the sport with every title an athlete can get, and that's impressive. I won't lie, that's something that not many people can say they did. Another major sport that I have kind of fallen out of sight with is golf. The main reason that I cared about golf was Tiger Woods, but he hasn't had a strong stretch of major wins in forever, and he's probably close to retirement age now when it comes to golf. Another guy in this field would be Rory McIlroy, but he's also kind of fallen down. I hope that golf gets better over time, but it continues to slip. It's not as interesting as it used to be. I used to watch a fair amount of baseball, but I started to see it as a very boring sport. I did watch the 2016 World Series, as I said earlier, because of the Cleveland Indians. But now I don't really have a reason to watch. I know there's a guy named Tatis Jr. and Aaron Judge, I guess, but I don't see an interest in that sport that much anymore. I know it's all about history and unwritten rules, and I don't think I have time for that. When I mention anything when it comes to fighting, when it comes to a sport that is bloody, you automatically think of the UFC. And the UFC is the front runner for mixed martial arts, and there's a lot of stars in there, but I've never bought a pay per view, I've never seen a full fight, and the only two names that I can really bring up in my head is Daniel Cormier and Conor McGregor. And that's mostly because they defined the generation of talent that went through during this period. Um, Again, if it was like something free to watch or if I even had an interest, then I would have watched it. I could talk about the history of professional wrestling for a while, but that doesn't really make any sense in the grand scheme of things. There's big stars like John Cena, Rey Mysterio, Brock Lesnar, Triple H, Edge, CM Punk. There's a lot of guys I could talk about. There's a lot of ladies I could talk about, like Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair and Asuka. But the main thing is that I like the story that goes on throughout every single wrestling match. And you don't see that in many other sports unless it's like the NFL rigging a game so that somebody looks cool as shit. So I really hope um, at least somebody gives pro wrestling a look or two because it's interesting how they write these stories and how long it takes to get a resolution. It is cool to look back on sports and figure out why I even have an interest in any of it. And it's amazing to see how some of them have changed over time. Hundreds of thousands watch at home while thousands fill stadiums to the roof for their favorite teams. Sports will most likely remain profitable going into the future, with the intrigue and history of each of them bringing in more of an audience. There are newer sports that have arose as of recent, so new viewers will continue to have options on what they want to watch at any time of day. For instance, chess boxing. This video is the second part of a series where I look back on subjects that have a history with me. Thanks for watching this video. There will be more of these in the future. following is a double feature. Film is something that I've had an interest in for a long time. There are many professionals in the field creating amazing films, and the industry has become so large with its extreme profit margins. It was never an interest for me in the money department, however, as I found more of an interest in techniques and ideas in the production aspect. Cameras continue to upgrade and enhance the films produced, leading to more entertaining films for the audiences worldwide. I do have equipment to use, but watching other people's work has left room for me to be more ambitious with my work. When I was growing up, I began to be interested in film pretty quickly. The process of making a film fascinated me, and I used to watch the behind-the-scenes footage of every film I watched. My parents introduced me to films in the 80s and 90s, like the Star Wars films, the Indiana Jones trilogy, Home Alone, Terminator. I also watched many comedic films, mostly starring Adam Sandler. Flick and bedtime stories are actually pretty good, going back. Filming something is impressive, but stocking it full of great dialogue made it even more intriguing. Characters have arcs in most movies, and I love every minute of it. I used to see movies as a way to escape into realities that someone else made, but now it's a way to see the creativity of those involved. American entertainment has turned a page, creating blockbuster movies with hundreds of millions in production budgets. Franchises have been more and more profitable, creating great worlds like the Pirates of the Caribbean and Harry Potter. Animation studios are also an important thing that a lot of people kind of glance over. There's a lot of hardworking people in the field that take 20-hour days or so to animate something and improve upon what they made before, which takes a lot of work. There's movies like Madagascar, Cars, Kung Fu Panda that take multiple years to make. There was also an extensive list of superhero films throughout the 2000s and 2010s, with X-Men and Fantastic Four being two films I'd watch on road trips, characterizing comic book characters to a wide audience. These movies were the first of many I remember with CGI. The Marvel Cinematic Universe and DC Extended Universe started to take over the market in the 2010s, unfortunately killing the X-Men and Fantastic Four audience. The MCU and DCEU have very great stories and ideas, with Doctor Strange being one of the best films I've ever seen. Filmmakers have created some of the best entertainment in history, with several riveting directors creating some of the most influential pieces of media. Alfred Hitchcock, Steven Spielberg, Stanley Kubrick, and James Cameron, in some cases, have made several films that people tend to look back on with admiration. Many of America's profitable films are from the 80s and 90s, with many genre-defining films being released in that period. The consistent results from each of them inspired younger directors to step into the field, making more intriguing films for audiences. The newer directors include M. Night Shyamalan, who was very prominent due to the success of The Sixth Sense. He only works in horror movies though, and he doesn't really branch out. A good director duo from this new period is Anthony and Joe Russo, who worked on smaller TV projects until Marvel presented the idea of a Captain America film. The Russos have been working exclusively with Marvel ever since, unlike their colleague James Gunn. James Gunn has been in a lot of drama in the past few years, so the guy that made Guardians of the Galaxy is now working on reworking the DCEU. The number of genres in the field make more interesting films. A Scanner Darkly is a film that uses the idea of rotoscoping, or tracing each frame of a film with a specific color layout. starring Keanu Reeves, Robert Downey Jr., Woody Harrelson, and Winona Ryder. The film is known as an adult animated psychological science fiction thriller. Using multiple genres creates new stories and settings, as well as developing a new genre as a result. The use of several genres can also create an intriguing story if the actors can deliver and the script is well written. The Matrix was an interesting experience throughout its runtime, with Keanu Reeves, who plays Neo in the film, being a major highlight when I watched. Despite a lot of people thinking he's generic, his performance in the movie is great. There was 2 sequels released in the same year soon after, and I honestly can't tell if anybody really cared for them. His character in the first film worked out so well and was set in a relatable situation. Working at a desk every day is pretty easy to relate to, with cubicle-laden offices being a standard in modern times. The baffling change of setting created a more interesting world for sure, and seeing how different you were able to make that world over time made it amazing to watch. I also watched John Wick chapters 1 through 3 around the time that each of them came out. Keanu's a very good actor, which makes me glad when I hear they are making 2 more of these. His work is very consistent, and he is overwhelmingly humble all the time. It seems as if the man never ages, yet his work would tell you different. To be great at what you do is one thing, but to learn and grow from each film you're involved in is a whole different thing. A guy like Keanu is so cool that somebody has an Instagram account where they post pictures of the actor every month. As film changes over time, I hope that I can put up great work in the field. The industry may have the issues of trying to make new studios and businesses changing how they want to present themselves, but I hope to involve myself in whatever comes next. Film isn't just a passion of mine, it is something I want to work in for a long time. The ever-changing landscape of directors, writers, editors have led to my interest becoming more diverse than before. For a field with so many positions, it is very difficult to start off, but I hope I can do well. SoundCloud alert. Yo! The song I made is on SoundCloud. I used to watch many television shows when I was younger, but my focus turned away from it. There are 3 main channels I watched, those being Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, and Cartoon Network. Most of the shows have a fictional element to it, which made it easier to view. I would talk about some of these at school, especially shows that aired on Disney XD, otherwise known as Jetix. I watched Disney Channel for a while, with programs like That's So Raven and The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody being some of the highlights. Seeing all of the young actors in these roles slowly turning into superstars over time was very interesting. Disney had a slate of sitcoms in this time span that would change pretty consistently. The last shows I watched on the channel were Jessie and Good Luck Charlie, but there are some gems on the channel, like Sunny with a Chance, Wizards of Waverly Place, X Games. I think they had X Games on the channel. I'll have to look into that. Disney has a second channel, which used to be called Jetix until it was replaced by Disney XD. On this channel, Phineas and Ferb made a large audience. They also had Kick Buttowski, along with Zeke and Luther. The mix of live action and animated shows gave more of an interest for the audience. The channel also highlighted the two previous topics in the series, gaming and sports. I was done watching when Pair of Kings dropped one of their lead actors. Another end of child entertainment was Nickelodeon, with their trademark slime being a main selling point. I started watching when the earlier seasons of SpongeBob SquarePants and Fairly OddParents were still being broadcasted pretty regularly. They had live-action shows as well, with Zoe 101 and iCarly being the first shows I watched on it. Nickelodeon made the KCAs, or Kids' Choice Awards, a yearly tradition, which I remember watching every time. My viewership kind of went down right after Victorious was cancelled and iCarly ended. I also viewed Nickelodeon's second channel, Toon Nick, from time to time. I would watch some of the old reruns on the channel, like Rocket Power and My Life as a Teenage Robot. In some cases, Jimmy Neutron would air for several hours at a time. I stopped watching the channel when Planet Sheen started airing, which I think is one of the smartest choices I have ever made. On the third end of children's programming is Cartoon Network. I watched this channel specifically for Ed, Edd n Eddy. I kept watching after shows like Ben 10 and Adventure Time started airing, along with Regular Show, Chowder, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, The Amazing World of Gumball, and Total Drama Island. The channel really started hitting its stride. They also tried to have a live-action series in the late 2000s with Andrew WK's Destroy, Build, Destroy and Dude, What Would Happen leading this change. I stopped watching when Steven Universe and Teen Titans Go took over the channel, especially with Regular Show and Adventure Time nearing their ends on TV. Interestingly, Cartoon Network shares the channel with their late night content called Adult Swim. I was always advised not to watch TV this late, but older episodes of The Cleveland Show and Family Guy would air for a while. I never took time to watch this side of the channel, mostly due to my parents protesting against it. ABC Family is a channel I remember for only one show and many reruns of the Harry Potter films. My sister started watching Pretty Little Liars every time a new episode came out for around 4 years. I remember being grounded and hearing the same cliffhangers over and over and over again. One year, the show never really had a solid story, with the villain changing every season or so. My sister was so fed up with it to the point that she stopped watching early into season 5. ABC Family's only other hook was holiday blocks every Halloween and Christmas, but I do not remember most of them. A channel that was trapped in between MTV and all the kids' channels was Comedy Central for some reason. So I would be like scrolling through the guide, and there it is, and I select it, and the only thing I really got time to watch was Tosh.0. Key and Peele started airing around this time, but I only saw the commercials for it. It's very weird that it was right in the middle, especially with shows like South Park being aired at the time. I stopped watching TV normally in 2013, as my interest changed when it came to entertainment. I played the Xbox 360 and Xbox One more often, with little knowledge of anything that came out during that time. The most I knew came from watching sports channels, which is not a good sign. From 2013 to 2018, I didn't watch anything but sports on TV. I eventually came back to watching TV in 2020. Well, maybe 2019. But it was also not TV, so to say. The large influx of streaming services started to be more interesting, with the first subscription service I purchased being this WWE Network. Watching several hours of wrestling for a small price was impressive, so impressive that I started using Peacock when the WWE went into business with them. I heard about Netflix for a while in middle school, and I didn't use the service at all until 2019. Breaking Bad was the main sell, along with the first 2 seasons of Stranger Things. We swapped networks around a bunch, with Netflix going away for a second, then coming back, and we also gained access to Paramount Plus, Peacock, and HBO Max. Ever since, I've been watching a bunch of shows I'd never had access to. Shows like BoJack Horseman, The Good Place, Young Rock, Henry Danger, and The Sopranos have been most of what I've watched and caught up on. Better Call Saul, Barry, and Stranger Things continue to surprise me with each episode. There are also sitcoms like Community and The Office, which I never watched until recently. The entire set of shows I missed out on are some of the most inspirational and interesting programs possible. House of Cards is the current show I've been watching, along with Naruto, and I can definitely say House of Cards is something I did not expect. Naruto is a very great show with a lot of great pacing, but after about halfway through, it kinda gets slow. I wish I didn't skip out on these shows, but I'm happy that I can go back to watch them. A lot more shows that I mentioned are still on TV stations. There are still many medical dramas, crime dramas, kid shows, and young adult shows airing. I can't wait to see the creativity and changes to the industry becoming more motivated. Thanks for watching these videos. I put a lot of time into them, and there's only one video left in this series, and then I'll be working on other stuff. See you in the next one. I started watching YouTube in 2008 after stumbling onto the site through some random searches on early versions of Chrome. The first channel I watched, Chugga Conroy, came up after I was searching for a clip from Night at the Museum where the totems say,
Dum Dum,
Yes?
you give me gum gum.
to Ben Stiller. I started watching Chugga more consistently, with one of my friends in elementary school mentioning him in conversation around a month later. YouTube began to grow and expand more than anyone could have known, leading to almost everyone in school knowing of its existence by 2012. I used to have an old PC in my room that I played classic games on, which we later sold off to afford a couple laptops. I talked about my laptop at school with one of my friends recommending using Google Chrome. After a few weeks, I started using the browser to search for random terms, which I guess could be dangerous. I searched for the Night at the Museum clip, and with that, found YouTube. I would use YouTube to exclusively watch Nintendo content. Chugga Conroy, Nintendo Capri Sun, and Proton John became a more occasional situation. YouTube was still growing, with only a few channels having more than 80,000 subscribers. I didn't know many communities at the time, but comedy channels like Smosh and Shane Dawson were constantly recommended. The highlight for this year would be Chugga Conroy, a channel I would watch almost daily. Chugga had just started his Paper Mario playthrough when I started watching. His channel was extremely influential at the time, especially due to it being established before the big gaming boom. Using older methods to record his gameplay, Chugga gained a large amount of popularity for his consistency and research on the games he played through. Funny enough, he's playing Paper Mario again on his channel. Similar to the year before, I mostly watched Nintendo content to start the year. That changed when Minecraft started to be suggested through channels like the Yogscast and SethBling. I was sold to the game immediately, watching content from it constantly. To be fair, tons of kids started to be more interested in Minecraft and YouTube going forward. The slightly mature, edgy creators playing the game made it more entertaining. Channels like UberHaxorNova and SeaNanners began to be my favorites when it came to Minecraft in its early stages. Having great personalities with the game made a more interesting video. Yes, I still watched videos from the Nintendo crowd, but my focus differed significantly. These early videos sparked the gaming boom on YouTube, leading to more users visiting the site. YouTube tried to moderate the sudden influx of viewership by giving select channels contracts. My highlight for this year is one of the biggest channels at the time, Machinima, who would sweep through every gaming channel with exclusive deals. This would be called a partnership, where Machinima would take a large amount of the channel's revenue. Machinima would later peak as the fourth largest channel, but their misguided ways to stay relevant would hurt them in the long run. Even though there was so many creators in their doors, most of their major partners would leave by 2018. The partnership plan fell apart and Machinima closed their doors in 2020. This year was more of the same when it came to what I watched. Group channels began to be a more regular situation for creators, with the Creature Hub and early esports organizations growing audiences. One of the main things was collaboration at the time, with many creators starting to develop working relationships when it came to their content. I viewed many of these channels along with many standalone channels. Success was gained on YouTube at the time, with only a few creators having over 100,000 subscribers. Many of the other kids in school mentioned their favorite creators, especially a channel known as Fred. Fred was made by a guy who would chipmunk his voice and act crazy. I started to see this guy as a success, with shows like iCarly having the guy on for an episode. The guy above Fred at the time was Nigahiga. I never really watched what he made, but I was always afraid of saying the front of his username. My highlight for this year is Fred, who kept growing as a channel, leading to him being the first user to reach 1 million subscribers. YouTube's popularity with Fred, Nigahiga, Smosh, and Machinima caused a large addition to those who browsed the site. Fred was so well liked by the public that Nickelodeon had him sign a contract, leading to 3 films and a couple of TV shows. After Fred boomed, the guy behind it kind of faded away. Fred would later lose the most subscribed channel title to Nigahiga, who would hold it for a while. I remember inviting my friend over to watch Fred the movie when it came out. Many people saw Fred on live TV, and I was honestly disappointed. I thought a movie with an internet star would improve the public appeal of YouTube, but it was pretty boring. Ray William Johnson was a new face on YouTube, and I thought his work was awful at first. It felt like an internet recap show instead of anything special or creative. Equals 3 was a show that he would do consistently, with many people seeing what I think would have been labeled as an early React channel. As Fred's uploads started to be less frequent, his channel fell down the ladder considerably. By the end of the year, Ray William Johnson would be in the top 5 channels on the site. My highlight for this year is the Rad Brad, with his commentary walkthrough of Saints Row the Third being the first series I would watch from him. He would later play BioShock Infinite and Last of Us all the way through. His more recent walkthroughs have shown his commitment to showcase the games he plays, with his God of War Ragnarok series being a great watch. The Rad Brad continues to entertain all his viewers, and I hope to see more from him. The gaming boom led to many more channels focused on one game being promoted more on the front page. Channels like Vanoss Gaming, Sky Does Minecraft, and PewDiePie began to be widespread to several people. The easiness of recording something and editing out awkward pauses made thousands of videos revolving around gaming more normal. Most of these channels would upload daily, which would increase the reach of their content. The frequency of videos definitely made it more interesting for me. The boom also caused other creators to make their own channels, where they played games constantly. Toby Games and Smosh Games began to be extremely popular. The idea to have a group of friends uploading videos from the same session but from different perspectives also became possible. I didn't know about Vanoss Gaming until November of 2012, where he constantly uploaded gameplay from Call of Duty Black Ops 2. The highlight for 2012 is Vanoss Gaming. The group he recorded with all the time had separate channels, leading to multiple standout creators. His friends, I Am Wildcat and Dahi Dinogla, became extremely popular in the following years. I know Vanoss still uploads, along with most of his friends from 2012, but not at a daily basis. His Black Ops 2 and Gmod videos were some of the most entertaining to watch. In 2013, the battle for the most subscribed channel would change hands to the comedy channel Smosh. I remember watching most of their videos at this time, so seeing them reach 10 million subscribers was amazing. Minecraft's popularity began to wane during this time, causing many creators to quit or change what they played. More genres began to be promoted, leading to more viewers joining the site. Google Plus began to be shoved into the audience's faces, especially when told you needed a Google Plus account to comment on videos. Many creators saw this as a turning point for YouTube, especially with many TV channels and film companies taking up the trending section. I remember that whenever you browse through the trending section, barely any site-made creator was put in. Content started to be aimed against YouTube and Google Plus, creating a disconnect between the company and the viewer. The highlight for 2013 is Smosh and Smosh Games. Smosh grew to have the largest of any audience this year, creating a side channel to capitalize on the gaming audience. Important shows like Grand Theft Smosh and Game Time with Smosh came around early in the channel's lifespan. Smosh continues to be a large channel, despite their content getting little amounts of viewership. The gaming boom continued without Minecraft in 2013, leading to more games being pushed to the audience. One of these games was Slender the 8 Pages, a game where you would search around a very dark map for several pages while being stalked by the Slender Man. Channels like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, and PewDiePie began to be very popular. PewDiePie was so popular, in fact, that he usurped Smosh as the most subscribed channel before the end of the year. I didn't like his content at first, but his personality grew on me. 2014 was a great year for gaming creators, especially with PewDiePie holding the #1 spot for the entire year. Channels that I previously mentioned, like the Rad Brad and SceneNanners, began to have more views than before. There were also channels that focused on reacting to other people's videos, like the Fine Brothers channel and Jinx. Many saw this content as lazy, along with the excessive amount of prank videos on the site. This would spark the creation of many commentary channels that would critique and bullet point issues that the content had. PewDiePie is my highlight for 2014, reaching 20 million subscribers early in the year. He branched out to games other than horror to great success. PewDiePie's 2014 was so great that he was put on certain shows to showcase his personality and interests. I watched him constantly that year, seeing how much better he made his content. The gaming boom carried PewDiePie to hold the title for around 6 years, with each year having better work than the last. Commentary channels began to be a big deal in 2015, with iDubbbz and H3H3 Productions having impressive videos attacking other creators for how they appealed to their audiences in a manipulative way. Other channels in the same community, like Leafy is Here and Pyrocynical, began to show other creators in a negative way. Drama channels began to grow to display the opinions of these creators, leading to Drama Alert creating more buzz about the inner workings of the community. Several users, including myself, began to be sold on drama content, leading to these channels skyrocketing in viewership. Family channels, react channels, and prank channels were quickly lambasted for their exploits. Several gaming channels also grew concern, along with musicians and comedians being criticized for their prior work. Older channels like Shane Dawson, Onision, and the Fine Brothers were attacked constantly for how their prior content looked in light of their characters. It was insane to see the change in YouTube's atmosphere at the time. The highlight for 2015 was iDubbbz and H3H3. They would research and expose channels constantly to change the atmosphere on YouTube. With deep digs on Prank Nation, SoFlo Antonio, and Jinx, these two channels became very popular to a wide audience. I recall many gaming and comedy channels being under fire by others in the commentary community, leading to several users leaving the site as a whole. iDubbbz still uploads, with his video known as Getting Away With It being polarizing due to the character in question, Sam Hyde, essentially pranking him the entire time. H3H3 doesn't upload much, with his podcast taking up most of his time now. 2016 was a great year for growth on YouTube, with PewDiePie reaching 50 million subscribers standing out. The amount of viewership became surreal, with many more genres developing interests. As the classic React, Family, and Prank channels went away, a strange line began to occur in the commentary community. After many found reacting to videos as an easy way for revenue, some commentary channels began to review and watch shows without any cuts. I remember witnessing the commentary community quickly become more splintered as they started to attack each other. Pyrocynical started to make gameplay commentaries discussing some of the drama between channels, slowly leaving the community as a whole by 2017. Leafy is Here and iDubbbz had a small feud that ended with Leafy being blacklisted by YouTube. H3H3 and Drama Alert's Keemstar started a fight with words as well. As the commentary community fell apart significantly, other genres began to be more popular. Pyrocynical is the highlight for 2016, due to him stepping away from all the drama he was around. Instead of starting a feud, Pyro slowly went to gameplay commentaries and game reviews. He also streams every week on a second channel he's made recently. Pyro has started making hour-long videos on certain topics that I'd recommend. Even though his Utopia video is 7 hours long, it is one of the most interesting videos I've watched. Early into 2017, a lot of Twitch.tv users started to upload on YouTube. Despite having their own sphere of drama at the time, these new channels would upload cut-up portions of their streams multiple times a day. I recall watching an early adapter called Soda Poppin', who would upload World of Warcraft and gambling videos on YouTube pretty consistently. There was also an interest in people who would open cases in CSGO, or Counter-Strike Global Offensive, which would later expose T. Martin and the Pro Syndicate as owners of CSGO Lotto. Drama was still great appeal for YouTube and Twitch, leading to Twitch user Ice Poseidon to stream Pokemon Go outside of his home. Ice Poseidon would find great success, which would lead to Twitch creating the IRL section on their site. The new medium led to several YouTube users clipping and sharing all of the drama on Twitch, leading to an overlap. I also know that this year would also be the time of Vine invasion, creating even more overlap and drama. The highlight for 2017 is Soda Poppin', who led a new wave of viewers to Twitch and YouTube. Being able to merge audiences created an interesting situation where some users on YouTube would start a Twitch account to watch the creator live. I remember Soda losing tons of money gambling, which was roughly 99% of the time. Soda still streams, now under the OTK organization, playing a variety of games to an audience of 20,000 viewers. 2018 was the year of many things, with makeup and challenge channels rising in popularity. I remember Dude Perfect growing an enormous audience, with many others starting to make videos similar to Mr. Beast. Big companies like the WWE and the NFL gained massive amounts of subscribers. YouTube's creative juices were at an all-time high, with older channels like Jack's Films and Good Mythical Morning finding their footing. The personalities on the site became larger, with Logan and Jake Paul leading the charge. The Paul brothers were in controversy after controversy, with many of the remaining commentary channels making a fuss about their antics. I remember watching smaller Vine stars turn their channels into successful commentary channels, including Codyco and Drew Gooden. There was also an increase in the amount of podcasts and long-form videos, which continue to be very popular. The changing culture on the site led to Google Plus being removed from it, leading to more users joining throughout the year. The highlight for 2018 is Naked Jakey, whose commentary about video games made many people appreciate the effort. The amount of work Jakey put into his editing placed him in a league of his own. Not many people can top the way Jakey used green screen and captions to create comedic moments throughout their videos. He still makes content, with his latest video about esports being a favorite. Jakey also makes music, releasing the album Rom-Com last year, which I highly recommend you listen to. 2019 was a weird year that saw PewDiePie finally lose the #1 spot to T-Series, an Indian music channel that rose exponentially within the last year or two. I read that YouTube established itself as a mainstay on the internet, being the second most used site ever. Sports, gaming, comedy, and drama channels took up more viewers, and Minecraft resurged as the top game to play. A Twitch streamer named Call Me Carson made several videos on his own server, which caused his channel to grow very quickly. I remember that the use of nostalgia became a large part of the year, with many gaining popularity coming from older franchises. Film critics, podcasters, and speedrunners became more prominent in the space. The older commentary channels went away from the drama, with many smaller creators picking up the practice. Several users started to migrate to the streaming service Twitch for income. PayMoneyWubby and Critical were two channels that saw significant success elsewhere. My highlight for this year was Call Me Carson and the revival of Minecraft. Carson was a Counter-Strike channel, although I didn't watch until he started to upload Minecraft content to his second channel. He had multiple videos where he would introduce friends and acquaintances from Twitch to a large audience, creating even more of a merge between the sites. Carson still uploads despite some setbacks, with Minecraft continuing to be a popular game. Well, besides the obvious, 2020 was a year like no other. Many channels worked on expanding their audience this year, with many viewers fluctuating between YouTube and Twitch. I saw many streamers become more popular to the site, with many finding success. Ludwig, Hassan Abi, and Asmongold found great success uploading portions of their streams in separate videos. As the virus continued to ravage the world, more creators played with streamers on the likes of Among Us and Grand Theft Auto 5, where they would roleplay as other characters. A lot of Twitch personalities made a major effect on YouTube, leading to YouTube gaming being established. YouTube bought up some of the larger creators and put them on their new service. The likes of Dr. Disrespect, Tim the Tatman, and Valkyrie jumped ship, leading to some unrest in the Twitch space. YouTube also saw the likes of Markiplier and Jacksepticeye bringing in more subscribers. The highlight for 2020 was the streamer Jay Schlatt, who made appearances on many streams and podcasts with great success. Jay Schlatt was a part of OTK, and he didn't stream on Twitch at all until the end of the year. His connections on Twitch and YouTube created an interesting audience. Despite some ridicule from the Minecraft community, he produced 2 great podcasts as of recent. Chuckle Sandwich and Sleep Deprived are great to listen to, especially seeing the differences between Schlatt and his co-hosts. YouTube continued to share space with Twitch creators, along with the rise of competitor TikTok. Older channels like Rhett and Link began to gain consistent viewers, along with videos reacting to other people's content yet again. I watched many film, music, and gaming critics begin to work on hour-long videos. Podcasts continued their viewership, with many creators establishing their own brands. I remember that organizations like OTK, Envy, and 100 Thieves started to grow. Minecraft continued to have great viewership as well. Comedy channels started to bottom out, with Smosh and College Humor having major declines in viewership. Drama also took a hit unless you were a Twitch streamer. Pranks, react channels, and even food-related content saw a lack of interest. Tier lists and capitalizing on trends began to happen more consistently. My highlight for 2021 was the creator Ludwig, who streamed himself for a month straight and cut content from every day on his YouTube channel. I like that even though Ludwig mainly used Twitch, his ability to make several shows made him valuable. YouTube later hired Ludwig onto YouTube Gaming at a large price. Ludwig has maintained his work, creating a successful podcast channel and running a successful chess boxing event live to his channel. Some drama happened throughout 2022 when it came to Twitch, with many big stories coming through the pipeline. Creators like Mizkif, Rich Campbell, and XQC, in some cases, had major problems and couldn't recover fully. Several YouTube channels also had issues, with many corporate channels dropping creators. The likes of Rooster Teeth and 100 Thieves had major firings, causing a lot of drama. Many foreign creators caused a splash, with several kids' channels as well. Many communities started to go away from the spotlight, with many more comedy and corporate channels falling apart. I saw Twitch channels and YouTube gaming channels, however, gaining many viewers. A Twitch streamer named Cutie Cinderella created the Streamer Awards, an annual show showcasing the best from the live streamer community. My highlight for 2022 is Cutie Cinderella, who presented a great show for the entire streaming sphere. She did several smaller events, including Master Baker and Camp. She has also hosted several podcasts, including Whine About It and Fear And. I thought that the use of several creators from both Twitch and YouTube gaming had led to more people turning into her streams. Cutie has just finished working on the 2nd annual Streamer Awards with Valkyrae as her co-host. Several creators that use both Twitch and YouTube continue to prosper. Mr. Beast has become a hot commodity, gaining more subscribers than PewDiePie. PewDiePie has quietly retired from YouTube, only uploading a few times every month or so. I like to see the many channels that still capitalize on the past, along with many creators starting off with great promise. I find it interesting on how YouTube changes, especially with the growth the website has had. Many younger creators have found success as of recent, along with great ideas. The genres on YouTube have boomed significantly, with many taking up the streamer content creator 50-50. As of recent, YouTube has introduced YouTube TV to combat Tubi TV and Pluto TV's profits. It's cool to see so many new creators develop now, especially with the multiple genres. The highlight so far this year is Stash Club Wrestling, who take multiple quizzes to figure out who has better wrestling knowledge. They also have a podcast where they upload every week, with many commenting on their videos. Stash Club is owned by a larger company, but the hosts John and Dante put in a great amount of work towards the channel. Using several platforms, the channel has recently passed 47,000 subscribers. I wonder how much these two can expand the channel, and that's all up to them. Seeing YouTube change so drastically is crazy. I never would have thought that the one search I made would divert into a very long history with the site itself. Hopefully, the next 15 years is as great for the site. This is the last part of my history with that I've been working on since last August. Thanks for watching all these videos. Can't wait to work on more.